Okay, now we're going to make our second end cap, and this is for our advanced hydraulic cylinder. This is what it's going to look like, and if you look at a section view of it, we're going to have some rings cut into it, some stuff through the center of this. So we're going to do a lot of this with a revolved boss base. So we're going to start by opening up a new part, and we're going to start by drawing on the front plane, and I'm going to draw a rectangle, center point rectangle from the origin, and we're going to smart dimension it to 0.75 by 1.85. And I'm going to draw a circle in line with the origin, and I'm going to smart dimension that circle to 1.1, and I'm also going to smart dimension from its center point to the origin 1.5. And now I'm going to grab a line, and from that circle I'm going to draw a line to that corner, and make sure you don't grab a quadrant. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. And now I can grab trim, and I'm going to trim out that half of the circle and everything inside that square. So I used power trim, and I just click down and I drag around all that stuff to get rid of it. I'll accept that. Now I'm going to draw a center line vertically from the origin so I can mirror these three entities, and the line to mirror about is that center line that I made, and I'm going to accept that. I can delete the center line now. You can keep it too. I just like to clean it up a little bit. And then I'm going to draw one more circle on the origin, and I'm going to smart dimension it to 0.85. And this is what you should have. I'm going to go to features. I'm going to do an extruded boss base and extrude it 0.5 inches, and I'm going to accept that. And now I'm going to do a sketch on the top plane, and I'm going to go to normal 2, and I'm going to start creating that profile that we're going to revolve. So if I grab line, where I'm going to start it is, since I know this flat spot is 0.75, on this side of this line I'm going to start drawing. I'm just going to draw a line that comes down, connects on that edge, come over to that end point. We're going to come down, go over horizontally, and when we do this one, avoid lining it up with these dashed lines. They'll make relations that we don't really want. So we're going to bring it horizontally over, vertically down, come over. We're going to draw a line that comes up at an angle, any angle, and just connects on this edge. Try not to hit the midpoint. We're going to come over horizontally. We're going to come up till we're in line with that endpoint, and we're going to connect those. And this should be the shape that you have. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start smart dimensioning this. So if you hold down shift, I can smart dimension. Let's see, let's draw a center line in there so we can do some diameter dimensions. So I'm going to grab a center line, and from the origin draw a center line vertically down. I'm going to smart dimension. Now if you hold down shift, click on that line and that center line, I can do a diameter dimension, and I'm going to make that 0.85. I know that the dimension from this, its diameter, is going to be 0.75 because it's on that endpoint. So I don't really need to put the dimension in there, but I'll put the dimension in just for clarification. And we're going to make this a dimension driven. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to start dimensioning all these lines. This is going to be 0.25. This line is going to be 0.25. If you grab this line and that edge, we want that to be 0.435. We want that line to be 0.435. We hold down shift, click on that endpoint and that center line. We want that to be 1.85. And we're going to grab that line. From that line to that edge, it's going to be 1.5. And we're actually going to change one dimension here. Let's delete that dimension up top, because that was actually supposed to be from that edge. Shift from that edge to the center line is going to be 1.435. And from that endpoint to that center line is going to be 1.5. Now we need to add a couple things to this. We're going to add a fillet. So if you do sketch fillet and we hit that line and that line, we're going to make a fillet that's 0.075. 0.075. We're going to accept that. Drag that dimension out of the way now. And we're going to draw a box. This is the way that I like to do it, because we need to add those rings into parts of this end cap. How I do it is I'm going to smart dimension this box to 1.5 or 0.15 by 0.2, and now I can copy this box a couple times and it'll be easier to move around. So if you click on the down arrow on move entities, you go to copy entity, and if we drag over that box, we can do a from to. So we'll click on our from to box, and we're going to do from the center point. We're going to put that on the midpoint of that line. And we're going to do this 2 more times. From that center point, we're going to place it on the line. And this last one we can just move from to center point onto that line. And now we can position these a little bit easier. This one's already where we want it. We wanted it on the midpoint. These other two, we need to dimension from its center point to this edge. We want it to be 0.3. And from this center point to this edge, we want it to be 0.6. Well, that didn't keep the relations we wanted, so let's undo that. And we're going to dimension from that edge to the bottom edge of that square. It's going to be 0.6. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab trim, and I'm going to start trimming out a bunch of these lines. So I use power trim. I just drag through all the lines that I don't want. And we're going to leave ourselves with that shape. And that's the profile that we want to revolve. After we have all the dimensions on there, place these up so you can see them a little better. Those are the dimensions we want, and we want to go to features and do a revolved boss base, 360 degrees. Make sure thin features isn't checked. It will not give you what you want, and we're going to accept that. And now we pretty much got the shape we want. We just need to put the holes in those wings and drill our hole for our port for our hydraulic fluid. But first we're going to save this as our forged Endcap-2. And now we can start going in, placing those holes. So first I'm going to do an extruded cut on that face, or the top plane, or the front plane, you could choose. And I'm going to grab a circle, and if you touch on that arc, you can find the center point. And I'm going to draw 2 circles on those center points. And I'm going to smart dimension them to 0.5. And we're going to do an extruded cut. And it's doing it at 0.5. You can also do through all, but we want it to go 0.5. and we'll accept that. And then we're going to use Hole Wizard. And we're going to do a straight tap, ANSI inch. We're going to do a 1/2 inch hole. Okay, and we want to do a Hole Wizard, but before we do a Hole Wizard, we want to round off that edge of this flat spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a sketch on that face, and we're going to draw a circle from that midpoint to that end point, and we can draw a line from that end point to that end point, and we'll trim away the top half of that circle, leaving us with that. Now we can do an Extruded Boss base, and instead of doing blind, we're going to do up to surface, and we're going to choose that surface, and we're going to accept that extrude. And we're going to do a mirror feature. So if we do feature to mirror, we can drop down this feature tree, and we can click that last feature we made, and we're going to mirror over the top plane, and we're going to accept that, and that saves you time from having to draw that again. And now I can come back, and we're going to do a Hole Wizard. We're going to do a straight tap, ANSI inch, a 1/2 inch hole, and on this one we can do up to next, or we can choose a surface. We'll see if up to next works. And if you click on the position tab, we can position it on that face, on that center point of that arc. And to make sure that it goes all the way through, on type, instead of doing up to next, let's do a up to surface, and we can choose that surface to go up to, because we want it to go all the way through that, and that's what we'll be left with, and we'll accept that tapped hole. And that's it. Now we have our second end cap. You can look at a section view of it and see that we have the same end cap. And save this as machined Endcap-2. Save it as machined Endcap-2.